afternoon, students at the Youth for a Secure Water and Climate Future program. Today, I am pleased to be joined by Pablo Lopez, the owner of Outdoor Adventures in Las Cruces, and Axie Navas, the director of the Outdoor Recreation Division of the Department of Economics. Pablo, Axie, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Okay, my name's Pablo Lopez. Although that person doesn't really exist, my real name is Michael Paul Lopez, but nobody ever seems to remember that. That's fine. I live in Las Cruces. I run a bike shop, Outdoor Adventures. Basically thinking outdoors is being outdoors is a human right, and it's a New Mexico right. And I think that getting young people to really explore that as an actual living thing is the most important thing we can do right now. So that's why I'm here. And I'm a New Mexico youth, and I'm still outside, even though I'm gray.
Yeah, my name is Axie Navas. I'm the director of the Outdoor Recreation Division, which is a branch of state government that's pretty young as far as state agencies go. The Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, signed it into law in April 2019. And really the overarching mission, if I had to encapsulate it, is to say that we work to make sure that New Mexicans benefit from the outdoor recreation economy.
Is this phrase outdoor equity? What does that mean, especially in relation to the work that you both do?
The idea of the equity that means so much to me is not having a clearer vision that isn't a single-minded vision. It's a vision bold enough to say that there are so many different cultures here that have so many different parts of land that are so vastly different than any other part of the state. And they should be the ones driving what their outdoor economy looks like, their outdoor usage looks like. It should match their belief system. It shouldn't be a blanket thing. So outdoor equity to me, and how I can use it, is really just tapping into the people that live here.
The goal of this program, this grant, is to use outdoor recreation as a vehicle for equity and getting to these conversations about how do we build an equitable workforce as we move forward and grapple with the effects of climate change that we're seeing now, that we're going to see worsen, especially in communities that are disproportionately affected, will continue to be disproportionately affected by climate change. So as I see it from a state perspective, that means we have an enormous responsibility to think proactively about how to, for example, build careers with family sustaining wages in a green economy. So helping folks transition away from fossil fuel extraction positions.
What are other things that we could do to increase access of ourselves and our neighbors to those public spaces?
We live, right, all of us in New Mexico are on occupied land of indigenous people, many of whom are the leaders in this space historically and now in conservation and in the outdoor rec world. And yet when you think about outdoor rec world, I think that image has been co-opted through this history of colonization, frankly, around this ideal of white outdoor recreationists. So I get to answer where I'm getting at with one barrier is this idea of representation, I think, and who we see managing our public lands, who we see working in the outdoor industry.
Also, changing the narrative too. Educating, again, spending some money on education, creating different branches of education to get into the schools. I mean,
that's a great point, Pablo. And to follow up on that, actually, could you tell us a little bit more about the Outdoor Equity Fund and how it could be used for purposes like bolstering education and environmental education resources for teachers around the state?
Sure. Yeah, to give the 30,000-foot view, like I said, it was created in large part by folks in Pablo's circle, people in Las Cruces who were really the visionaries behind it. So it's this homegrown grassroots New Mexican initiative, first of its kind in the country. It's a grant to invest in outdoor recreation experiences, transformational ones for all kids, but with a specific eye towards kids of color, and then kids in historically underserved communities. In statute, that's defined by low income. So looking at communities that have lower income households, how do we focus on those households, talking about career pathways. So someone who goes, again, fishing for the first time can actually see a job in that space. There are jobs in that space, but showing a clear pathway and then making that pathway accessible.
By the way, Axie, no stress, because you're right. Hey, there is no outdoor equity fund anywhere else. It is an idea that is New Mexico born, and you decided to just take that on. Everybody's going to be watching you. And you've been killing it so far. So,
well, yeah, I see my division as like the executing tool, and we gotta follow on all these great like ideas and vision of energy of like so many New Mexicans were getting it done. That's super inspiring.
And actually, your job is actually an outdoor job that was created, which is, again, whoever's listening out there, hey, check it out. You could have a little cubby echoey hole like her doing a Zoom meeting.
How do we build a pathway for UNM kids to stay in New Mexico and continue to sort of bring jobs?
That's probably the toughest thing, is to retain our brilliant minds. That really a lot of people come back because they realize this place is just a lot cooler. It's a lot nicer. By the way, it's 75 degrees here in Las Cruces. Just letting you know. But anyway, I think they're coming back because they've made it somewhere else, and this is where they want to rest their head. Trying to get the legislators all on the same page about what a greener economy, not even full green, but just slightly greener, gray instead of black oil, would be a change. So, I mean, honestly, it comes down to real cliche stuff. You got to vote. You got to talk to your representatives. You got to be active in the community, or they'll never hear the great idea you might have. So just stay with it. Stay on it.
Yeah, and to echo some of that and kind of bring it back specifically to Outdoor Equity Fund, I had a great conversation with a young woman who goes to high school in Albuquerque. She went on a backpacking trip, her first backpacking trip. She'd done a lot of hiking before, but never an overnight. She went on an overnight with NM Dream Team to the Sandias. And her takeaway from that was, I want to do what our guides did for us. I want to be a outdoor youth educator. And you know what? Those jobs exist. Folks are hiring for those now. And I think that there's lots of trends that suggest that they're going to continue to grow. So then what, as a state, can we do to make sure someone like this young woman, like Alyssa, sees that pathway in the first place? And then what sorts of education programs can you prop up as that ladder?
How do we use New Mexican stewards and this idea of New Mexican stewardship?
I mean, I first learned my stewardship really at a young age through the home. Honestly, my dad was always hunting, and we were always fishing, and spending time outside. Outside is health, man. I mean, there's answers to your health problems are going to be probably found in that great vitamin D source, the sun, and then of course your exercise, and it just goes into diet and all sorts of good stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And again, a big mission of the Outdoor Equity Fund, just helping raise the next generation of land and water stewards. With climate change in particular, you need legislative action, is like where we're at right now. And so I think one other way you can be a good steward is to be an advocate for these places politically. And as Pablo already said, like what that looks like is like voting, showing up at the Roundhouse in Santa Fe, or at the moment calling in to some of the sessions that are going on right now, and having your voice be heard. And we've seen so much change happen in the past couple of years because young people are speaking up. And I think that's going to be continue to be really necessary. So I think like stewardship is like, yes, it's packing it in and packing it out, but increasingly it's also, holding lawmakers and other people of power accountable to protecting these places, because ultimately our individual decisions are only part of the collective action pie, and we all have to work together to see some of those real effects take place.
What are some things that you both are excited about that are going on right now in the legislative session, whether it might be a bill that you're excited about or just a general attitude?
I look at the leadership we have right now with Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, and then just powerful voices in both the state Senate and then the House of Representatives, who have come around this idea, not recently by many means. Like, many of these folks have been fighting for this for their entire careers, but that we have to address the effects of climate change in an equitable way that builds the workforce of the future. Those are obviously, huge ideals, but there's legislation being put forth to achieve that. There's an interesting House bill, for instance, if anyone wants to look this up in more detail. House Bill 9 is the Climate Solutions Act, and it builds off of work that the governor put forth last year to get New Mexico to a zero emissions economy in the short-term future. So one example of that, but you read that language and it's all about like equity, transforming the workforce, like family sustaining wages. That's really inspiring. And because we have the leadership to get a lot of this work done, all of that coming together makes me feel pretty hopeful for this session.
Thank you both. Yeah, that's really, it's great to hear your perspectives on those issues. How can students get involved with the work that you both are doing specifically?
I would say just find something you love and keep loving it. Let it mature into the place where it needs to go. You might wind up, who knows, being asked to write some House memorial bill, which was, again, totally by accident. You just do it because you believe in it so much, because guess what? I'm making money off of doing something I love, off of a two-wheeled vehicle, and it's taking me places without even having to get on the bike. So it's just a fabulous thing. Please find what you're looking to do, enjoy what you're doing, and see where it takes you. Who knows? You might be the next Axie Navas. I don't know.
Well, I definitely don't have better advice than that. That was inspiring. It makes me want to leave this Zoom call and like go skiing or biking right now. So I would say do that. And then when you find that thing, whatever it is, like whatever like makes your heart say, reach out to my office. Our website's nmoutside.com. And, if you have questions about policy or how to, reach lawmakers, whatever it is, that kind of like micro, less exciting and inspirational advice. But once you're ready to if you want to start writing memorials like Pablo has done, reach out to me at that stage, and I'd love to connect and brainstorm it with you.
That's a perfect 1-2 combo right there. It's like, that's the sort of ladder that we need, right? Well, thank you so much both for being here and having a really engaging conversation. Pablo and Axie, I really appreciate you both for the work that you do, and for the model that you're setting for young people like me and people who want to make their careers out of this sort of thing as well.
Latinoamericano, Latino tropical, hermano mexicano, mi raza de Aztlán, el hombre pensando, soñando y otro mundo, el tiempo va corriendo y cambiando en todo.